Carter Starocci, one day before the All-Star Classic. Catch us up. How have you been? How have things been? Last we saw you wrestle was at the Olympic trials. Talk to us about your recovery, the change in weight class, how things have been going.
Yeah, I mean, everything's been going really awesome. I mean, even going through something as tragic as I did last year, just really understanding how much of a blessing that's actually been for my career, just really doing a lot more on the recovery side of things, have a big team of doctors now and things like that. I mean, I've honestly ever felt better than this, and obviously up a weight class now too, letting the body kind of grow in and things like that. That feels really good. And then when you're surrounded by our kind of coaches and environment, it's almost, honestly, when you think about it, you almost have to try to get worse in areas, because you're always being challenged in many areas on if you're making those adjustments on getting better. And so that's even kind of how I look at this matchup. I already have a few guys in the room that's already beat this kid. So it's just like we have the blueprint and things like that. So it's just when you have that luxury, you just really want to take that's kind of the most advantage of all that.
Yeah, what do you know about Parker Keckeisen?
I mean, everyone thinks that he has a good cardio. I don't think I kind of disagree. I mean, he'll wrestle the whole entire match, but most of the guys that he wrestled against, they kind of just back down to him. Like his kid in the finals, he was just diving on his legs and just letting him take him down. So I just think it's a different level of wrestling. And then as you see when he wrestled Aaron, he was a completely different wrestler. He wasn't as offensive. His cardio wasn't as great. And so, I mean, he's going to wrestle the whole match. He has a few things that he likes to do, but I just think overall, like as an athlete and things like that, there's just a lot of holes in his game. So I look to exploit those areas tomorrow night.
On paper, you two look to be separated from the field. He dominated everyone at 184. He bonused everyone at the NCAA tournament at this weight class. Knowing that it looks like you're not just going to wrestle tomorrow, but it's very likely you two are going to wrestle at NCAAs, is there an element, do you anticipate you guys holding a little back or not showing too much, knowing that this is likely the guy you're going to have to beat for an NCAA title?
For me, I don't like to hold back because, like, it's for me. Why would I take the match then, or why would I even come back for this its final year? I mean, if that was kind of my mindset, I kind of would have moved on. Like for me, I just really love competing and really love dominating. And honestly, when I was actually kind of glad that it was this matchup and not like a different matchup. The more I think about it, just because I think he's gonna wrestle, and if he doesn't wrestle and he wants to back up, that's fine. I'll back him up against the edge of the mat and I'll tee off on him there. But I think he's going to bring the wrestling. I just think it's the more wrestling that involves, it's just the more that the matches is going to get separated. And I think he'll quickly find that out. And then obviously come the NCAAs, I think they'll try and make adjustments or whatever. And even if they don't, I mean, that's why it's my job to make sure I'm constantly getting better and growing no matter what they throw out. And so I'll be ready for everything he throws.
Yeah, the move up to 184, how necessary do you feel it was? How tough did the cut become? Was it last year or the year before? When was it really apparent to you needed to move
Yeah, so I don't know if you ever had these Christmas cookies. They're called, it's a peanut butter blossom with a Hershey Kiss in the middle.
Yes.
And so my grandma used to make those like every time for Christmas. And she has like this recipe. And so I would only have them during Christmas. And I'm like thinking to myself, I need to get hold of that recipe. So when I was there, it was like after my junior year, I got a hold of the recipe and I took a picture. So I was making those like every single week. And it made the weight cut pretty hard. And I don't know if it was just that. Maybe like I think I was growing as well. But just the weight cut got to be, it was pretty hard. I mean, I was up till like, it depends on the match or the tournament. I was up till like 3:30 in the morning, and then you're back up at 6 for another workout. So I mean, and for me, I mean, obviously don't mind. That's my job, So you got to make the best of whatever you're doing. But it just got to a point where I even called Coach Casey last year. I was like, hey, Coach, I was like, hey, I know I told you I was going 174, this and this and whatever, but if there's any chance I can go up this year, like you can take my scholarship. Like I don't want it, just let me go up. I don't want to make this weight no more because it was just really hard.
This was for last year.
It was for last year.
Oh wow.
And And Coach Casey's good with his words, and he was just kind of talking me through it and things like that. And he was like, "Hey, let's just see what we can do in areas where we can make things easier and things like that." So I'm like, like I had a feeling he was going to say that, but it was like this slight hope. I felt that he was going to hear like the pain in my voice, and he was going to say, "All right, let's go up." But he obviously wasn't down with that. But yeah, so I mean, I'm really excited. Like just like for me, I believe I'm always the guy that never gets tired. So now me up a weight class, not really cutting anything. So I think it'll be even a lot better version of myself too.
So you walk around 184, a
Oh
little
yeah, I
over.
mean I'm underweight right now, but usually I mean I can get up to around like 188, 190 ish, but it kind of just depends. Like as I get training and things like that, I'll gain weight at first, then I'll lose weight. So and then obviously now that we're here, I'm always ready to go. So and for me, I didn't want to live in the weight room and get bigger and then have to cut weight again. Because I'm like at that point, I might as well go 74. I really don't want to cut weight anymore.
Yeah.
So it kind of just made sense to kind of walk around where I'm at.
As you look back, and I've rewatched your NCAA tournament last year, and just what happened after the second match? Because the first match, guy dives under, it goes to your right leg that was injured, passes the leg, gets a takedown, you beat him. Kemp, little post shot to your back leg, and then after that, no one even got to your legs.
Yeah.
Was that a physical adjustment? Was it a wrestling adjustment? What happened there? Because no one was ever close to scoring on you
Yeah.
after that. And your competition, you had a national champion and a national champion, and then Rocco Welsh in the finals. Like
Yeah.
your competition increased and improved, and yet your performance seemed to improve.
Yeah. I think one thing that I've always noticed about myself is when it's a higher anticipated match or I guess better competition, I always get better and I always rise. So I mean, yeah, you it's the goal is always be ready every single match, but for me, those are the kind of matches that you have to work a little harder mentally to like, all right, like let's get fired up for this. But when you're wrestling someone that's past NCAA champ, like that's why I train. I don't want to train to go beat some guy that's going to work in a few months. Like I want to beat someone that's given up his whole life for this. I want to see how bad you really want this. Because for me, I'm willing to die out there, and so I want to see who else is willing to do that. And so that's kind of what I look forward to. And as far as NCAA's, um, after those first two matches, I know like I was just so mad at myself because like for me, even after the NCAA tournament, I was just really pissed at myself, and everyone just kept telling me, "Hey, like I can't believe you did it. It was crazy to see what you done with the injury." And just the more I kept hearing that, just the more I was just like getting more irritated. And I'm just like, you know what? Like anybody can get hurt. It's I didn't do anything special. Anybody can get hurt. I think the more special thing is to stay healthy all year and dominate. And and so like in between matches, like I was kind of down on myself. I mean, obviously I was wrestling smart and things like that. And it's just that's not how I want to compete. I don't like holding back and things like that. So I was just kind of in between matches, I was kind of down on myself. And Coach Cael comes over and he was like, "Hey man, you know, you can win the national title with a hurt knee." He was like, "But or you can win with a bad attitude, but you're probably not going to win with both, and you're kind of stuck with the bad knee. So let's kind of bring the enthusiasm. Let's kind of change your energy. You really can't fix where you're at right now, so let's make the best of this and let's go crush these dudes." And so like, and then when he said that, that was after the second match, and I was going back to the hotel to cut weight. And as I was cutting weight, I was really thinking about that. I'm just like, why am I thinking like this? Yeah, I'm I can't wrestle the way I want to, but there's not much I can do right now. I've did everything I could to get to this point. So let's just go out and let's just finish this thing off. And I just really thought about that overnight. And then when I slept and I woke up, I just had a whole different vibe, a whole different energy to me. And I was like, let's go do this thing.
Yeah, and watching the competition, especially those last three matches, what stands out is just your overall positioning. How long did it take for you to develop that level of head hands defense where guys they can't even pressure forward? You're pressuring forward with an injured knee, a clearly injured knee. They can't fire off attacks. How were you able to, or when did you really feel like your head hands hit this kind of next level you're at right now?
And I also wrestled those guys before, and so I think one of my best abilities that's like underrated is when I wrestle someone, my ability to collect their data and their information and their feel and just everything about them and their timing. I think that's the best part of my game. I think that's probably the most underrated. Maybe just because it's something hard for people to understand that. But when I get my hands on someone, like just how fast my brain just observes their body and just and collects everything, not even just physical, but and their mental and things like that. And so, um, that's a huge advantage that I possess. And yeah, I mean, it was just you got to be smart out there, and that's a lesson I learned like it's last year too. I mean, obviously you want to fight every position, but you want to think long term and how you're setting up yourself long term, not just physically in the match, but with your health and things like that. So it's just it was definitely a long journey, and it was definitely brutal. Like even my dad, like he told me, he was like, dude, that was the worst time I've ever had. He was like, every single match, I was like, he was just having a hard time watching because it's just where I was at. I mean, I could really honestly barely stand, and obviously the whole dramatic with the Big Ten tournament and stuff like that. Like for me, when I get in that foxhole, I'm ready to go. I'm not the guy that has the excuse, oh, I had a bad weight cut, oh, I'm sick, oh, I'm not feeling well, oh, my girlfriend this or my family this or I'm hurt. Like for me, if you go out there, you go out there. If a country invades our country and they want to start bombing stuff, what we're gonna say? Oh, we're not ready. Oh, like I have to go to work. No, you gotta sack up and go. And so that's kind of the mindset I get into. So then at the Big Tens, I get in that mindset. I'm ready to go, and then it kind of gets pulled last second. So that didn't set well with me. And then so obviously with the NCAA's, I just kind of get locked in like that.
Yeah. I think of you someone on, and you alluded to the psychological side. Is that psychological, that mental warfare, is that effective?
100%. I mean, I feel that's like one of the most powerful things. Just because your body's going to do what your mind tells it to do, And I feel like when I really started separating myself, a lot of guys that I wrestle, I don't even ever feel that they really even try and wrestle me back. I think they try and defend, or they'll use a lot of muscle and like, oh, I'm real strong, I'm going to show you, but it's all bluff, And my dad, he tells me all the time, if you're in someone's face for the entire match, 7 straight minutes, you'll find out how their parents raised them real quick, And so it's just like I said, it's a testament to see how bad they really want to be out there, Because for me, I'm at the gym all day long. I mean, obviously, have my chef in the back, so we're at this. It's an all day long. It's kind of effort, and so for me, it's impossible for anyone to work harder than me. And so, like me knowing that, I get my confidence through my preparation because I know it's literally impossible for anyone to do more than me. And if they are, now their body's hurting and it's fighting against them. And if you do any less than me, I mean, I'm just going to walk at you and just tee off you. So, like, for me, I get my confidence. I just truly know that I gave everything I can to this sport. And so when I go out there, I just feel free. And so on game week, I'm like, finally, it's finally here. I can almost let loose and just, this is the fun stuff right here.
You talk about guys not coming after you, maybe disengaging. Do you think there's a scenario Parker does that, or do you expect him to engage?
I watch his matches and things like that, and I think maybe I can see him kind of come after, like, it's quick off the whistle, just to like him trying to prove, hey, I'm the NCAA champ at 184 or whatever, just trying to like whatever. But I feel like Quick, he's gonna quickly feel that. I mean, that's not gonna be a good idea. So I think it's probably going to be the backup plan. But again, I mean, if he's not going to back up, I think it's a scoreboard is really going to reflect that, So I would like to think he would come forward just by its previous matches and him being NCAA champ, kind of saying, hey, this is my weight class. You want to come up to my weight class, I'm going to show you. Which, I mean, you would think that should be the attitude. But like, again, like a lot of guys maybe ducking and dodging. Like, I don't know, like, example for Levi and the Missouri kid. I mean, I just feel like there's no reason why it's that matchup's not going down. This is the All-Star Classic. Let's get things going. But I just think that kind of mindset. What's that kind of setting up for you long term? Like you got to think about Levi. What's that message sending to Levi? Like, hey, like I'm not wrestling you here because I'm going to wrestle you in Tennessee and then the NCAA. Yeah. So I don't know. I just feel like when you're the better wrestler, you're going to show it every single time. Yeah. And that's the mindset that our coaches give us, and that's kind of the mindset that I kind of embody myself.
Can Parker Keckeisen beat you?
Absolutely not. I just think, I mean, like you said, I mean, he had a high bonus rate last year. He kind of dominated everybody, but again, I mean, I'm not everybody. When you look at some of the guys he was wrestling, they kind of went wrestling back. He seems like a strong kid and whatever, and he looks like he loves to be out there because I mean, you can kind of tell he brings that mojo, but again, it's going to be a different level. I mean, he won one NCAA title the past 15 years. I mean, I did that when I was a teenager, so, I mean, this is not new to me. I've been taking out NCAA champs for a while now. I don't think any other wrestler has beaten as many NCAA champs that I've had over my career. So it's just going to be a fun opportunity to go take another one out.
Yeah. What is your excitement level coming into? I mean, you were definitely on the fence. We've spoken in previous years, like fifth. I don't know. It seems kind of like a weird thing. I don't know if I want to do it. How did you, one, just come to terms with it? Yeah, I want this, and two, like get this kind of excitement level and get your energy up for this, which is unprecedented, but something you were considering not doing.
Yeah. So for me, I mean, I think in the future just a little bit. Like I'll take a peek around the corner and I'll kind of think what I want to do, and then I get back in the present moment and I just feel like it's always focusing on the present moment is really key. And obviously for you guys and for the media, it's your guys' job to help make these stories big and things like that, which they are big, but it's to me in my world, it's really not that big. I mean, all this stuff's gonna come and go. I'm sure Penn State will have another 4-time champ, and it's just like, and then it's on the next group and things like that. So for me, I just always try and stay focused, and it was winning that next match, and that's honestly it's the same focus I have now. But me thinking back about just being this year, I was like, you know what, man, like these teachers can make my life hard sometimes. Just all this homework stuff, and it's a 4-time national champ excuse gets you a little bit, but not with every teacher. So I'm just like, I don't know if I want to deal with that again. And then so obviously after I was done, and honestly, like I think the biggest reason why I chose to came back was after NCAA is just like, I didn't compete how I wanted to compete. And for me, it's not about winning 4 NCAA titles or 5 NCAA titles. Like for me, I mean, that stuff's cool and great, but I mean, I lost like already half my trophies that I've already got. So I'm just like, that stuff's cool, but I just really love going out there and dominating. So that's why I do it. And so I'm like, you know what, like, let me go out on my terms, just healthy, it's dominant and things like that. So that was a big reason. And then obviously with Coach Cael, I mean, he's a hard guy to say no to. He has his way with his words, and we talked about a game plan. And I know he mentioned that, he was like, hey, maybe you can go 197. You don't have to cut weight and things like that. And then he was saying something like, I don't have to wrestle the first half of the year. And so then there were some ways around the school part and things like that. And I looked at him like, dude, I was like, you must forget who you're talking to. You know what I mean? If I'm gonna do this thing, I'm gonna do this thing the right way, and I'm gonna wrestle every single match. I'm not a weekend warrior parent or something like that. I mean, like I treat this as my life. So I mean, I'm gonna be there ready to go every single match, no matter what. So if I gotta do the school, if I gotta do this or whatever I gotta do, I'm gonna do it.
Awesome. A couple more things, and I know you got a busy day ahead of you. Going back to the knee injury, how healthy are you right now? Is it 100%? Are you feeling like wrestling without limitations at this point?
Yeah, no, I mean, I've been 100% for a while. Like I said, I've been putting a lot of work in recovery, and even now that I'm 100, just even keeping that train rolling, just so you can keep your body at a healthier state. And so when you work as hard as I do, I think it's just as important on the recovery side of things. It's really make sure, and two, just it's kind of listen to my coaches a little more on those kind of aspects, just because they'll tell me all the time, like, hey, like maybe you should do this or maybe you should do that. And I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, all right, well, like, because I have this thing where it's like, if you want to be the best, you got to be careful like what piece of information you're taking, because if you take this from at somebody, then you're putting your limit on them and what they're telling you to do. And so if you want to be the best, you kind of have to be creative and kind of do it your way. And so, but I think my coaches have achieved everything on the mat and as coaches and things like that. So just kind of putting a little more trust into that process with them. But I mean, that's why I'm excited. I mean, like, I think I've got past the point now where it's like, oh, like I'm the tough guy. It's coming to Penn State. I'm going to wrestle, even if I'm a little hurt. Like for me, it's almost like it's like the prize fighter piece. You want to be smart and be the prize fighter. So if there's something that's not going right, then you know what? I already proved myself. You know what I mean? And so that's why I'm looking forward to this, because I'm healthy, up a weight, and then it's just all the extra stuff is just all bonuses, like Penn State. Because like for me, I love wrestling at Penn State, but I almost love wrestling away even more, just because they think they have that home field advantage or whatever. But I mean, I don't believe in any of that stuff, and I just love going at an enemy territory and and just smashing guys. That's my favorite part.
Yeah, I can definitely see that.
Yeah.
Last thing, or second to last thing, was how the injury happened. Did that add to the frustration with that situation? You got this guy tech, the match is over, and a weird roll through thing, and how many times did that replay and just what a kind of a dumb way? Not that you did anything dumb, but it's like such a strange way.
I know what you mean. I thought about it, but I mean, I would do exactly that every single time, just because, when I smell blood in the water, I'm gonna go after every single time, and so when I can go for the pin, I'm gonna go for the pin. I'm not gonna be content with a tech fall or a major or something like that. I'm always gonna go for the pin. I'm always gonna go for that extra point, and so yeah, I mean, that's just nature of the beast, and so I don't look at it like how it happened. It's just, I guess it's just an error on my part and just where I had my body positioned and things like that. But that's what makes Carter Starocci. When he smells blood in the water, he's gonna go after it. And so I think that separates it's the good from the great. And yeah, it was the last second on senior night, and and so for me when it happened, I think I kind of freaked myself out a little bit because I'm just like, dude, like NCAAs is like around the corner, and I mean it was not in a good spot at all. And so and that's why even the Big Ten tournament, even Coach Cael was just saying, man, like every second you can get where you're just off this thing, I mean, it's the better, And I'm just like, you know what, yeah, he's right. And then after my emotions kind of fade a little bit, I kind of thought about it, how blessed and grateful I am to have like a team and coaches that it's care about me, not only as an athlete but as a person, because Coach Cael can be, all right, let's win the Big Tens, this and this. I mean, I think if I chose not to wrestle the Nationals, I think Coach Cael would have my back, And like for me, it's just truly rare to really have a coach like Coach Cael and Coach Casey and Coach Cody and now Coach Nick. Because I know we're the ones out there performing, but when you really think about it, and I mean, I know you guys come on match day and things like that, so you guys don't see like too much. Or I know a lot of us talk about like how grateful we are for our coaches, but I mean, if those guys picked up and left to like it's somewhere else, I think every single guy on this team is going with those guys, And I just think you can really feel how much love they have for us and how much they care, and I just feel like they just make our job really, really easy. So it's not just me versus you and I kid on tomorrow, or when we wrestle Drexel. It's not just us versus Drexel. I mean, it's really our coaches versus their coaches too. And one thing we know about Coach Cael, I mean, he's undefeated. So when you have that guy, it's shooting points for you too. I mean, it's just that gives you a freeing feeling too, because he's outworking these coaches, because when he was an athlete, he was doing the same thing. So it's not that he has a different role, because for him, he's out there competing, So I almost wish we can wrestle our duel and then it's the coaches versus the coaches. Well, I almost wish that can happen. So it might even make us more freeing, because those coaches, seriously, I mean, they probably work 10 times harder than we do, and it's just like, wow, like I wanted to be a coach, and then I saw what they do, and I was like, let me rethink this rethink this field, But those guys are awesome.
Yeah. As you peek around the corner for your future, you've talked freestyle, you've competed in freestyle, you've talked MMA. What do you think in post NCAAs? Do you see yourself making a run at 86 for a time, or transition to MMA? What do you think's the future?
Yeah, definitely for sure make it. I want to win that Olympic gold, and so I'm definitely gonna go after that. But I'm still thinking about how I'm gonna do it, just because I do want to get some fights under my belt and things like that. But obviously, it's the main focus is gonna be winning that Olympic gold. And then I'll be transitioning to MMA. And so I've already gotten some contacts with some really high-level boxing coaches, and so I'm looking forward to get that going. So I'll probably take some time off after the World Championships this year. It's just train fighting, and then keep that run going for the 2028 Olympics. So again, I mean, that's just me flashing and just thinking about it on the spot. But obviously, again, I mean, I have great people in my corner to really help guide that decision. I mean, we have a guy in the UFC too, so I can kind of pick his brain and things like that. But I think the best strategy is always when you're doing something, always do it. Like you'll see a guy that maybe wins the NCAAs or does well, and then they kind of redshirt the next year. I mean, I just think that gives another guy a chance to really build that momentum or whatever. So I think when you're doing something, you really want to keep your foot on the gas, and it's all about just keep sending those messages. It's not even about the winning and losing. It's about sending those messages. And so it's tomorrow night we're going to send a message and And so they think, oh, NCAA finals, I think we're going to send a message. And a lot of times what happens too is they end up losing to somebody else because they're so focused on me, And so that's why for me it's never about the opponent. It's always about yourself and how you're preparing and things like that.
You see yourself as an 86 kilo in freestyle?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, my one crack at making at 163 was going to be last year, but obviously with the injury and things like that kind of didn't add up at the time. So it'll definitely be at 86 kilos. And for me too, I mean, it's gonna be good because I'm a guy too. Like if I decided to lift weights, I mean, I can get really big. I mean, if you look at my dad and my brother, they have some pretty big frames. So it just kind of runs in the family naturally. And so it'll be right there for me, And there's some guys out there too that I want to take care of at that division too. So it'll be fun.
Yeah, David's retired. Aaron's moving up. Looks like Zahid Valencia, probably the guy there. Thoughts on a match with Zahid?
They kind of offered that match. It was Beat the Streets. They wanted me and AJ to wrestle, so I was like, yeah, let's do it. And then they wanted me and Burroughs to wrestle. I was like, yeah, let's do it. And then those matches kind of fell off, and they wanted me and him to wrestle, and I was like, that's not exciting for me, just because outside of wrestling, because like I always think about, all right, what's the best way to kind of help grow the sport in any way, And I just think that he's the kind of guy that's just not going to help grow the sport anyway, just in like an all-star match kind of thing. But obviously, when you're making a world team, that stuff kind of goes out the window a little bit. I mean, I think he has good skills, and he's over with David now and things like that. So I just think when I get to beat him, it'll just be that much more sweet, But I don't know. I mean, again, it's the same thing here. I mean, I'm around guys that have beaten him for a long time. You know what I mean? So it's not like anything that it's surprising that we're gonna see or feel. I mean, and guys work on things, but normally it's wrestlers don't change. I feel like as time goes on, like most programs and most wrestlers get worse. Like they're still doing the same moves, the same attacks, the same everything. It's just like you guys are just getting worse. You know what I mean? There's just no upgrade, and just like even the NCAA season, I just feel like it's just guys kind of staying that stagnant. For me, where like when I'm at practice, it's not so much about winning and losing. It's just about am I getting better? Because that's why we're doing this thing. It's not to hold on to something, or it's about the grind. Everyone says, oh, it's wrestling is a grind sport. Like, I feel like that's the wrong lens to look at it. I don't have to be here. Like, I want to be here, so I'm gonna treat it accordingly. And I feel like when you have that perspective, it kind of changes your wrestling a lot.
Yeah, great perspective for sure. Well, I really appreciate your time, Car. Do you have anything else before we let you go?
No, I mean, I'm just excited that, it's Flo's doing a lot of things. I know you guys got a film coming out and things like that. We have the All-Star match, and you guys are all over the country doing your guys' thing. So I always want to show love to you guys because you guys do a good job helping us grow the sport and things like that. I mean, and I watch most of my film on myself, on opponents, on FloWrestling too. So I feel like it's a great tool. So I feel like you guys out there, make sure you guys tune in tomorrow night and make some magic.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thank you so much, Car.